Hey guys, welcome to the Made in Sims podcast, a place where we interview people that were made in Sims, make things in Sims, and helps us make Sims who it is today. We're doing a special episode with churches located in Sims, Alabama, and today is the first episode, and I'm here with Spence Williams, the pastor of Hope Springs Church. Thank you so much for being on the podcast with me today.
Good to be with you this morning.
Yes, sir. So if you will, as we jump into this, if you will, tell me a little bit about who is Hope Springs.
Well, Hope Springs is a startup church. We're about a year and a half old.
Okay.
Maybe a little more than that. We've been at the community center since our inception in Sims, Sims Community Center, and we're just a good church. We're a loving church. We've had so many testimonies of people come in and say, "Man, I just feel like I'm supposed to be here."
That's awesome.
That everybody just embraces them. We try to be that type of church because I know what it's like to not be churched and to feel, apprehensive. Not that the church is bad.
Right.
A lot of people, when they come into church, they have things that go over in their mind.
Right.
And they feel like maybe somebody's looking at them the wrong way. And we do everything we can do to make people feel comfortable from the time they walk into the door until they leave after service.
That's awesome. So we are 2 weeks away from Easter.
Yes.
And super excited. I've said before that Easter is almost like the Super Bowl for pastors because it's the day where a lot of people that wouldn't go to church any other time is going to come. So I wanted to take a few episodes to go and highlight churches that were here so that people could experience what the church was like without actually being here and experiencing it. So if you will, a person that comes in the door of Hope Springs, what can they expect to receive when they get here? What does the services kind of look like? That type of thing.
When they come in, they're going to be greeted at the door by a lot of people.
Right.
But it's a lot of people that want them to be there.
Right.
And they walk in. We have a few gifts that we like to give out, something that they can take back with them so they can remember us. And when they walk in, it's just a series of people coming up, welcoming them, making them feel welcome. They're not there to judge them. They're just there to love on them, and that's what we try to do. Once the service starts, we do a lot of praise and worship. We try to pull back from the old, a little from the new.
Right.
I find that when you have a church that has an older group and a younger group and a middle group, I kind of place myself in the middle group, so I like it all.
Right.
But they feel comfortable singing the older hymns and bringing, but we like to bring in with a new musical focus. But we have a lot of praise and worship, and then we have prayer. We'd love to pray. We believe in divine healing. I believe that the Bible tells us that we should lay on of hands.
Right.
It's not anything to embarrass anyone, but we feel that that's the way the church should operate.
Right.
And we operate in those parameters, and then we have the Word, and usually that's the way we close out our service with the Word. Now I have mixed it up some and kind of threw the Word out in the beginning and ended up with praise and worship.
Right.
But you don't want to get stagnant in anything, but as far as the basic service, that's the way we like to run.
That's all right. So if you will, I know this isn't something that just you're passionate about. This is something that God's laid on the heart of you and your family. If you will, tell me a little bit about your family.
I've got 3 kids. The oldest is 25, and my youngest is 18, just graduating. We live in Sims. We've lived in Sims all our life, and we feel like God has called us to ministry here. I ran from God a long time. In the ministry, I thought my ministry was Sunday school. I thought my ministry was in the sound booth. I did everything I could do.
Right.
That wasn't to be the preacher of the word. And finally, he just stepped in and said, "You're going to do this, or you're going to be miserable." So that's kind
awesome.
of how I.
And I've known you for a really long time, and I know you have a huge heart for people and a huge heart for the Word. I've heard you teach multiple times, and I know that there's times where the Lord will lay stuff on your heart about the Word that whenever I've heard it, like it was life-giving and life-changing. And I think that's super important to have a pastor that cares about people, but that's also able to get a word from the Lord and to be able to dig in there and really find stuff. Everything that's in the Word of God is on purpose and not on accident. And I believe that you believe that, and that's been a real inspirational in my life.
Well, I know I've told you this before, but you've had a big part in my ministry as well. I was dealing with feeling like I was way too old to start something like this. And you came to me one day out of the blue, and I guess it was a word from God to you
Right.
that said, "You're not too old." And I'd never talked to you about that. So I know it had to have been from God. And that really gave me peace more than you'll ever know. And it gave me the courage to step out and do what I'm doing now.
That's cool. That is awesome. And I love the idea of the way that the Lord works and the way that he uses, because I remember the service that you're talking about, and I remember the Lord just like downloaded my spirit, and I just couldn't get rid of it, and I was like, here we go. Sometimes awesome. That's the way it works. I know that, so I've seen your sign a few times passing up 98. If you will, tell us a little bit about the new location. We've talked about you're located here in Sims at the community center. Kind of what's the vision for where you guys are going?
Well, our property is on the other side of Sims. It's about 1.5 miles from where we are right now, the community center, back toward Walmart.
Okay.
Right now we have 3.5 acres over there, and our vision is to move as quickly as possible, and we know that that's up to God and up to the state and this county, but our vision is to be over there, to have something where we can have a centralized area for worship, a place that we can meet. It doesn't have to be on Sundays or Wednesdays like it is here. We can meet on a Tuesday. We can really begin to escalate our ministries,
right?
Because of the ability to have something 24 hours a day if we need it,
right?
But I'm hoping within the next year to be able to have a place to be.
Right. Well, that'll be awesome. That'll be awesome. The name of the church is Hope Springs. Does it have a special meaning, or is it just a name y'all come up with? Tell me a little bit about Hope Springs.
Well, I've always loved the story of Jesus and the woman at the well, and it really, there's a point in that account where Jesus goes up and he's talking with this lady back and forth, and she's interested in what he has to say, and he's interested in her soul, and he tells her that, I've got water that is a well springing up. And that's kind of the way I see our church. And that's when we began, that name just kept going over in my mind, was that we need a place where hope is springing up here. And I mean, there's a lot of people that need that. They need hope. There's people in our church they have hope because they know Jesus Christ, and they have a place that they can come and they can worship one with another,
right?
And able in a comfort area, in a place where they feel like that they're a part of it. I mean, there's folks that come in that they've been here 2 weeks and they're already, hey, I want to do something in the church. What can I do? And we try to put them in a place, and it just gives them something. And I know that lady, whenever she heard the words of Christ, the next thing she wanted to do was go tell everybody about it.
Right.
She goes into her town and she just wins the whole town for Jesus. And that is probably the number one motivation behind the name.
Right.
Hope Springs.
That's awesome. And that's one thing that I love about Jesus, is the fact of, I know a lot of emphasis is put on Easter, because it is the center point of what we believe, and the reason why we celebrate is not just because he died, but because he came back. And that gives us hope. The entire gospel is based around the hope that he gives because of the good news that we're able to tell, because of the encounter that took place with him, and what we're able to experience. So that's awesome. I love the name. I love the meaning behind it. If people wanted to follow you and they wanted to know more about your church, but from a distance, how could they do that?
Well, I'm not very internet savvy myself, but we have a Facebook that we try to keep everything out there, what we're doing, what's going on in the church, anything that's coming up. We also have a website at hopesprings.church, which gives you kind of what we believe, who we are. It's got some pictures of the people that they may be able to see. And, Sims is a small community. You may see somebody and go, oh, well, you know.
I know them. I'll go. I'll
Yeah,
go
let
sit
me
with
go
them.
see what. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the way. It's usually the way it is with visitors. They come in, and before I can even say hey to them, they found someone, and
Right.
and they're often on their way.
That's awesome.
But yeah, HopeSprings.church, and then just look us up, Hope Springs Church on Facebook.
That's awesome. Is there anything that you want to say before we wrap it up?
Well, I just want to let everybody know that's watching this that if they don't have a church, they're not plugged in anywhere, and they feel like that they would like to give us a shot to come on out to the community center at 11 a.m. every Sunday morning.
Awesome.
And somebody will meet them there, and no pressure. We'll give you a mug, and we'll give you a Connect card, and let you be the judge, you know.
That's cool. That's awesome. Well, I want to say thank you so much for agreeing to be on the podcast with me today. Let Hope Springs being featured. This is week 1. 2 weeks away is going to be Easter Sunday. I want to say as we're closing this up, thank you so much for watching the Made in Sense podcast. Thank you so much for Hope Springs Church. And we look forward. We've got a few more weeks of this, so continue to check back for more updates. Thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
I appreciate it, man.